Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Storytime with me, Sky Fellowship. Today's episode has genuinely been a nightmare to do because it started with such a simple idea: talk about people who make music that gets put into video games. And that was the idea. And then it became something so much more, to the point of I don't even know what to call it. I think I might have to skip saying what the episode title is in the video and come up with something after I stop recording, because I know along the lines of what I want it to be, and it's going to be along the lines of appreciating artists' work. Maybe that works. Yeah, fuck it, that's it, we're going for it. This is a sign I've finally got the title, I can actually do the video. So I want to talk about how video games are a very unique medium. And I'm not saying this doesn't happen with other things. Now, with books, music definitely is off the table, but I have noticed there are so many times when I will be playing a video game and I will really, really like the music. And it's a case of, okay, who does this? Now, in some cases, like this, it is the work of, and I'm going to butcher a lot of names here, Yoko Shimomura. She is one of my favourite composers of the Super Nintendo era. She made some truly fantastic soundtracks from Live Alive, or Live Alive, however you're supposed to say that JRPG's name. From Street Fighter 2, I know she is prominent in a lot of works that I've heard all my life. And as a composer, I truly do love her, and I started to look into other things that she did, and I've ended up listening to some of her works, even in games that I don't actually play or have no plan to play. Now, I'm not going to name any of them now, because this is stuff that I did ages ago. Like, this is music that I listened to ages ago, so I can't even remember other games at this moment in time. That's not what this is about. But this is essentially the gateway topic to the game that I'm about to put on now. Now, I'm about to load up Hotline Miami and Just Shapes and Beats. Two incredibly difficult games to play at the best of times, let alone when you've got a migraine, when you're baked for that migraine, and when you're trying to do this video, which has been a nightmare to talk about. And I want to talk about these games specifically because Shapes and Beats and Hotline Miami were two of the first games that truly got me into so many other musicians. Now, Burnout 3 was probably the first one. I got into Jimmy Eat World because of Burnout 3, but I was playing Just Shapes and Beats, and it's like, this is the kind of music I really like, and I want more of in my life. So I started going through some of the actual artists, and there's a dozen that I would love to be able to mention everyone, but I can only remember a couple that ended up really sticking. Mostly what happened was some of the artists, like the one I'm about to play here, and I'm going to, again, mess up a name, Danimal Cannon, whoever Danimal is has a few albums, so I was able to listen. Shirobon, quite a few albums, was able to listen. Sometimes it's a case of there's literally one single song from an artist that it's like, oh, well, that's not really going to help. Sometimes it's a kind of weird publisher situation, I think, because I want to say Nitro Fun is that kind of thing where it's like people just publish under Nitro Fun, but Nitro Fun is a bunch of different people. Therefore, I could be completely wrong with that. It's one of those that I've noticed no Nitro Fun song ever sounds the same as another, and there's a dozen or so that I like over a ton of different games, because I do VR cardio games, which are basically rhythm games. I've played a ton of Rock Band. Now, obviously, Nitro Fun aren't in Rock Band, but there are so many artists in my life that are only in my life because of a video game, and I really love that that happens. Now, this is what I mean. I'm sure you'll have heard music in movies that you'll have ended up getting into an artist because of that, but with games, it happens to me way more frequently, and it's not just music as well. It's actual, tangible, physical art, I guess I should say, because when I load up Hotline Miami, which I might as well do now to be fair, I don't know how many pieces El Huevo did. I'm going to mess this name up badly as well. El Huevo is a Swedish artist named Nicholas Arkeblad, and I know for a fact he at least did this piece of art here you're seeing with the bearded person with the smashed lens on the glasses. And I love this painting so fucking much, it's unbelievable. And this isn't even the full piece, if memory serves. Like, it's actually crushed down essentially to fit on the game screen. I think it's more elongated vertically, and he does some absolutely stunning pieces of art, and every single thing that I've seen him draw or paint has always had an impression on me. And it was weird that not just therefore getting into his actual music, but getting into his art, And I need to do a quick sidebar because you can tell a lot of people do see artists are eccentric and like quirky in different ways. This is one thing where I actually fully get it and fully understand. He was in the middle of making a new album, and he actually posted an update. All the music's done. I've done all the compositions. I've done all the production. Everything's there. All of it's ready. This may sound like good news, but I still can't release the album because I haven't been able to get inspired at all with my artwork. And until I know the album cover, I'm not releasing it. And it's I love that. The fact that he'd finished what for most people would be the difficult part, making an entire album of music by himself. The thing that was actually stopping the album from coming out was he didn't have any inspiration to be able to actually draw anything on the canvas, and then when he finally did, it was magnificent. It truly was. It was one of his best pieces of work as well, and everyone was like, yeah, this is why no one will really complain when you're actually saying that you need time to release things. Like, we're here for both. Some people are just there for the music, and that's understandable. I doubt there'd be anyone who listens to his music just for the artwork when you could, just look at the artwork. But, yeah. It's one of those cool things about video games, though, because everything in games is made up. With movies, yes, a lot of it is made up, a lot of it's fantasy and like anything like that, but it's tangible, real, physical objects that tend to exist, and it could be as simple as recording in Seattle, recording in San Francisco. You're actually recording in a thing that functions outside of the movie, whereas for the most part, and this music isn't this case, the music of Perturbator, Carpenter Brute, Dan Terminus, all of the artists that I managed to get into because of Hotline Miami, their music existed and was put in the game. Whereas Yoko Shimomura, her music was made for the game. And so I know there's some slight differences there as well. But with movies, as I see it, as I was trying to see it to circle back essentially, before ADHD causes me to completely lose my train of thought, can you tell it's already happening? Those places still have to exist outside of the actual movie. So again, if you're recording in Seattle, Seattle still exists, so that is one of the unique things with video games, is the fact that almost everything starts from nothing. And it means that you can quite easily get into an artist who draws things, who visualizes things, because they work on games to make art. Someone had to draw all of this, or do the pixel art, or whatever the terminology would be. Someone had to design all of this, and usually it's a case of a lot of people. So it's something really cool I wanted to talk about with games, is all. That I really am grateful that this is a medium that doesn't just give me fun things to play, it can give me cool things to look at, it can give me stories that I can't really get anywhere else. There are some stories that truly can only be told through the medium of video games. It can affect me with a lot of things in life, and I think it's the same for a lot of people. There will be some personal philosophies, there will be some times where games have made you think, essentially. A lot of people like to complain, how dare you put anything political into games, neglecting the fact that games have always been political. Final Fantasy Tactics has been a deeply political game, and the fact that it came out again this year, well, technically last year I suppose by now, and a lot of people were noticing similarities of what's happening in real world events right now. That's something that games have always had an ability to do. And it doesn't matter in what way they tell their story. Sometimes you get words, sometimes you get lyrics, sometimes you get absolutely nothing. Sometimes it's all visual, sometimes it's all audible, is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it's actually spoken, sometimes it's written, and sometimes it's just lore-wise, or trying to piece it together from looking at where you are in a game. Like, I don't want to deconstruct this thing here. There's nothing too deep with this, I understand, and that's not to sound insulting, because this is genuinely one of the deepest video games you'll ever play. Like, if you can get past the gore and the super difficult gameplay, all of the games that I've actually put on I would strongly recommend, but Hotline Miami is super special with how it tells its story. I don't want to spoil anything because it's a slow burn, but then when it starts ramping up, it really, really hits. But this scene here is kind of just a case of there's broken glass everywhere. Some games it might be a case of, well, why is the glass broken? And then as you're walking forward, you find out, because a bomb went off and that bomb did this. Like, sometimes games can be told, like, can tell a story in that way, where it's seeing things and feeling things and actually experiencing the events yourself with the character. But when it is something like a writer, when it is something like an actual artist, I love that I can then find this person's work and actually get into their other works, and it's not just about the games. It could be as simple as I see it as finding El Huevo and liking his art and then turning out to like his music as well, or with Danimal Cannon, or with even composers, Yoko Shimomura. Because I'd looked into who composed that music, that actually started to give me a bigger appreciation, hopefully it went through that time, for composers. So I actually then started to look into composers of other works that I ended up liking, anime. It turns out another Yoko Kanno, she's now my favourite composer in the world. Like, she just outright is, because I listened to the music that she made in Cowboy Bebop and Ghost in the Shell and didn't even realise that it was the same fucking person, because she manages to, whatever the brief is, she nails it. She just absolutely nails it. There are pieces of music that she's composed in shows that I've never even watched, that I will listen to her music, because her music is everything. And when the show is also really good, like Cowboy Bebop and Ghost in the Shell, obviously I know Ghost in the Shell is also a movie, but I'm specifically talking about the standalone complex, the series, Gitsak. When it is a medium that I actually like as well, her music just elevates it so much. And that's the same with a lot of video games and composers, and there's just so much that I am weirdly thankful for that you wouldn't genuinely realise with video games. And the reason that I also wanted to put Just Shapes and Beats on is this is a story that is told to you entirely by visual. Like this here, you don't get anything, no one ever actually tells you. This is the only text that you actually get on the screen, telling you who made it and then bringing up some of the artists that are in it. But everything is just shown to you, and I truly do feel this is one of the best video game indie stories I've ever fucking experienced, and it's annoying that so few tend to rave about the game, because I remember when it first came out and it did feel like it was actually doing good numbers and people were talking about it because of the Nintendo Direct it was in, but now it feels like no one ever seems to bring it up. And if you've never played it, if you've never heard of it, please do. It is another game that is brutally difficult, but you can make it easier. There are some accessibility things in it, but it is brutally difficult, but it's worth it. And the actual story songs are easier than the extra songs, so just push through, persist, you should hopefully be able to do it. But it's definitely not the sort of game that I can play now, which is why I didn't want to just stick to it. But I think I am finally done, and I was right. Coming up with the title name apparently was the sign that I was finally going to do this. I know there are times where this has went all over. ADHD's like that, being high for migraines like that as well. And again, medical marijuana, it's just one of those things. Sometimes I'll be doing videos like this. I know I haven't actually really mentioned that in this video, so saying again's weird. This is when weed does make you weird, by the way, so I know I'm catching it real time. Basically, I'll have mentioned it in another video. But yeah, I think this is now the perfect time to actually leave the video and say, if there's anyone's pieces of art, so be it a story, be it finding out that they were a writer and then that turns out they went on to be a writer on a show that you like, or someone's actual tangible art, I can't think of the word because unfortunately it's one of those moments where everything's art, nothing's art, but hopefully you know what I mean, paintings, drawings, where someone's art like that, or where someone's music, if there's something that you've found via a video game, post it below and share your own story. I never say this because I actually want engagement to boost the channel or anything, because that's not what this channel's ever been about. And I'm also terrible with social anxiety to the point of I very rarely ever manage to read the comments anymore. Used to do it all the time, now just can't do it. But eventually maybe I will. But it's also one of those that I do want to try and foster a community where y'all can at least talk to each other, and I'll just be like a facilitator, I guess. But yeah, until the next time, this has been Sky Fellowship. I truly do hope you have a great rest of your day. And yeah, if for some reason you've never heard of or played any of these games, again, Hotline Miami, it definitely has some triggering stuff in it. You might not, that might not be for you. But if you can handle that kind of topic and all of the subject matter in it, the game is absolutely exceptional. Just Shapes and Beats, super difficult, and I understand flashing and seizure warnings and everything, this might not be for you either. Another absolutely brilliant game, and Street Fighter 2 is a classic for a reason. So yeah. Until next time though, I truly do hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!